I'm going to take you through the exact blueprint you need to be able to grow and build multi-million-dollar trade businesses over and over again. And it all starts with you growing yourself, your knowledge and know-how, and your mindset. Because when you grow yourself to be able to rise up and do a certain task and create a certain outcome, you can then do it again and again. Especially when you learn principles, foundational work and knowledge that can stay with you. Because no matter what changes in the external environment, like social media, AI, cryptocurrency, who knows what's next, you're able to harness the environment because you can rise up, find out what's going on, find a way through, make the decisions that are needed to get the most out of it. So let's get into it. And when you follow a proven system and structure and journey to be able to produce predictable results, it allows you to be able to put more effort and energy in to where you're going. There's not just some little light at the end of the tunnel scenario. You know that what you're doing today is going to pay off eventually, just like the blueprints of building a house. Yes, there's the blueprint for putting the roof on, the electrical work and everything else as you're doing the foundation, but you know that it's going to fit. You know that it's going to work, and when you get there, you've got a plan. So I'm going to take you through the 9 core blueprints here at ResVita. It's our take on what it takes and proven track record to be able to build again and again, not only multiple million-dollar trade businesses, but ones that create freedom, health, and wealth with the people that follow it. So the first part of this is cash flow. And we start here because if you don't have cash flow in your business, especially from the start, or at any area or time within your business, it's going to cause you grief and choke your growth and cause the owner and the people around him or her so much stress. And when we know what cash flow is and how to influence it, it gives us the ability to keep our business running no matter what. And whether we've got a heap of money in our bank account or no money at all, we know where we stand. Because you might have $100, $1 million, $5 million in your account at the end of the month, and then $1 on the first day of the next month. Or you might have 50 cents in your bank account today, but it doesn't cause you stress because you know where the money's coming in and where it's going out. And what cash flow ultimately will give you is stability. Stability in running your business in the day-to-day. You know what's coming in, what's going out, and you don't have to stress about it. You've got vision, you know what's happening. And that's just like companies like Uber have done. They've taken away the uncertainty with the wait. You know what's going on and you're happy with it because you know. The other part of cash flow will give you the ability to go after opportunities. Because you know if you've got free cash flow to go out and buy equipment, take on a new or bigger client that might have extended payment terms, 30, 60, 90 days that you've got to be able to cash flow into your business. Or buy a piece of equipment or asset or other businesses and go after those opportunities or hire talent. So when we look at cash flow and we know the major components of it, we can start to influence it. And the first thing you've got to look at with cash flow is really only 2 major aspects. What's coming in and what's going out. And with what's coming in, you want to always look for ways that you can reduce the time it takes for you to get the money into your business. Because if you've done the work, it's your money in somebody else's wallet. So what can you do? Well, especially in trade-based businesses, the biggest mistakes that happen are we invoice slow. We finish the work and then at some point we'll send the invoice. And if your payment terms are 7, 14, 21 days or longer, if you don't invoice for 7 to 14 days after you've done the job or once a month, you've just extended the payment terms and slowed the cash into your business. So make sure you structure a way that you're always looking to invoice, you're hungry to invoice and get the clock ticking to get the money into your business. Then once you're getting it in, look at how you can get paid at smaller increments along the way instead of at the end of the job. Can you raise deposits? Multiple progress claims along the way, and then reduce your final invoice to reduce the risk of not being paid a large sum and arguing over it. What can you do to break it down and get into agreement from your clients that you're getting paid along the way? And then the other way is follow up. We teach people how to treat us. So if you're not following up your invoices to make sure they're getting paid, or if they're overdue, what's going on to get the money into your pocket, you need to have a process and a rhythm to be following up your invoices to get the money into your business. And then look at cash flow going out. How can you extend the runway of what you're paying out of your business? Through accounts, through many other things, but what can you negotiate? And then what's the waste in your business? Are you wasting money on subscriptions for services, inductions, licenses? When was the last time you negotiated your prices with your suppliers and contractors? Make sure you put in a rhythm in place to look at these aspects and always be asking, how can I get money in faster and pay out slower? Not at the detriment of losing good contractors or good suppliers, but still negotiate fair and equitable terms to do those and get that outcome in your business. Then once we've looked at cash flow and got an understanding of it, we've got a rhythm and structure in our business to make sure we're going to be here for a long time. Because you'll notice as well, you might have heard in the media that some of these big companies or tech companies lose money every single day for years. But they understand how to influence their cash flow to keep their business going until they start making money. So it's not about where you are, it's about keeping the cash flow strong. You can be a business of one person, 12, 24, 48, and still have cash flow problems unless you know how to influence it, build and protect it. So when you've got your cash flow sorted, you're sleeping better at night, you've got cash to go after opportunities, we need to start understanding financial excellence. That's the financial acumen that we have in our business. How do we read our numbers and not just look at them once a year through a tax return and then get told by our accountant what we owe the ATO every month, every quarter, every year? What do the numbers mean in our business and how do we influence them? And then how do we read them and put them back into better words? That's the real skill. How do we take the numbers, go put a plan in place to then get better numbers? And you've got to learn that over time, and not many people teach it unless you go out and learn it. Do you know how to read a profit and loss statement and know what income is, cost of goods sold, operating expenses, the difference between net profit and gross profit? Do you know how to look for trends month to month to make sure you're not wasting money? Do you know what's coming up with your BAS, your super, your tax obligations? Are you negotiating better prices? Are you setting up accounts with your cash flow to extend out what you're paying? Do you know how to read a balance sheet? Where does profit show up on your balance sheet? Does your balance sheet balance? And are you building equity every single month to grow a business that can get finance? To grow a business that you could potentially sell one day? Do you know what your assets are worth? Do you know what you own versus what you owe and what's the difference? And can you read a statement of cash? Do you know the different flavors of cash that you have available to you? Operating cash. This comes from your operating activities. Are you making free cash flow that can grow your business? Do you know where to get financing cash from? Where's the best rates? Is it the bank? Is it vendor finance? When do you need it? And do you have it available when you need it? Because when's the easiest time to get money? Yeah, when you don't need it. When you've got bucket loads of money and good cash flow. So you want to be going out and getting lines of finance or financial products when the getting's good. So then if the tides turn or anything happens in your business, you've got those available. Because if you go to try and get them when your books aren't looking good, you're not making much money, maybe your revenue's dropping, COVID happens, then you've got them available. So if you try and do it then, the answer's probably going to be no. And then if you're early in your business journey, below 2 years generally in business, it's very hard to get financing cash. Do you know how to raise capital? Get investment into your business. These are all language sets. When you know how to talk to financiers, to people who fund your business, to the banks to get the best deal, to look through your numbers, and there's so many more. Can you read your sales figures? Do you know what your lead acquisition cost is? What's your conversion rate to quote? How many jobs are you winning? Percentage of quotes to jobs and dollar value of quotes to jobs. There's two numbers there that mean very different things. What about your jobs, and when are you looking at your job performance, profit, billable hours, net profit, gross profit? What are you paying versus what are you quoting? And then cash flow. All these numbers you've got to start to learn about in your business. And it's a journey. The sooner you start to get a grasp on what it is, and what it will allow you to also do is to have better conversations with your accountant, with your lawyer, with your team, with your bookkeeper. Because you can go, hey, I'm looking over here, what do you think? Or this doesn't look right. Or hey, I just want to go out and get this, what do you think? You're not just going, oh, here, and putting your head in the sand. So we're getting cash flow pumping through our business every day, every week, every month. We're starting to get a financial excellence into our business through us learning first what the numbers mean and how to get better numbers. What are the dials telling me in the cockpit? If you hopped in a plane and you heard the pilot go, man, what do all these dials mean? I'm sure you'd hop off it. You need to give your team confidence too, that you know what you're going on, because you'll get better talent. And that's exactly what we're going to go into now, unlocking your people value. It's one thing to be able to go out and find great people, but are you in a place where they're going to stay? First, how are you going to find the right people? Well, do you know what the right person looks like? In their mindset, in their capabilities, and their behavior to meet your culture? Have you lined out exactly what your ideal, not your ideal customer, but your ideal team member is in every aspect? And then do you have a robust position description that will not only tell you what they're meant to do, but they know what they're meant to do? Not just guessing and hoping and then getting frustrated with each other. And then once you've recruited great people, how then do you unlock their brilliance? The one major job of a leader is to create an environment for people to do their best work. And that's the onboarding and ongoing development process. Find great people, 70, 80% as good as you can get. And then find a way to build a system that onboards and trains them to do their best work. And the best way to do that is through training. What's the skills they need to do their best job? And have you gone through where they're at now and then figuring out the gaps and then putting a journey in place over time to take them from where they are to where they need to go to? The most powerful asset of a business is the right people for the long term, because you know how each other works. You know the customer knows that they're going to be there. And then you can keep on moving forward, and then they can rise up in your business. And instead of going out and finding high-level people in your business, that's dangerous. If you can get people to come along the journey with you and you get new people under them and they can build them up, that's power. So once you've got the training in place to get them the skills, the capabilities, and the mindset they need, you then look at what culture do you need to build to support them. What is the environment around you? Is it conducive to great work? How do they work best? Do they need quiet, or do they need an engaging office? How often do you come together and meet to make sure you're on the same page? What's your daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly meeting rhythms? And do people in the business just think oh God, another meeting? Or are your meetings meaningful? Do they give people freedom to achieve? Once you've gone into that meeting, everyone's on the same page, you can leave great people to go and do their work. Because if you go in then and try and micromanage great high-performing people, one, you're killing the life you can live. And two, great people aren't going to hang around. They want your support. They want pathways to growth. They don't want or need you to micromanage them. So you have to work that in yourself too. How are you leading them? And how do they need to be led, not just how you think they do? And when you start to get a great team around you, you're building a business that works for you and not the other way around. There's a book out there called Top Grading by Bradford D. Smart, and it goes through every aspect of finding high performers. And then when you find high performers, they want to work with other high performers. It's a great book. Go out and find it, because it also tells you the cost for mishiring. It's phenomenal. Tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars through not only hard costs, but lost customers, lost opportunity, and lost growth. And then your lost lifestyle by coming in and having to fix the fires. So then once you've got that in place, cash flow, financial excellence, you know how to lead and unlock your people value. Then you've got to look at your personal and cultural excellence. We said before that there's two types of that you need training to unlock your people value, and you need culture to support that. And culture starts with you. The saying goes, do what I say, not what I do. That ain't gonna fly. You ain't gonna build a business that supports you that way. You're gonna scale the problem, not the solution. So look at yourself first. Leadership and culture starts with self. If you cannot lead yourself and you cannot trust yourself that I said I'm gonna do this, and then you don't do it, how can you expect anyone else to follow you? So look at yourself, your disciplines. How do you speak? Do you say what you're gonna do? Do you choose your culture over money? Is it profit over purpose? Yes, you've got to make money, but it's when the times are tough that will tell you the culture you need. Do you have a vision, mission, and set of living values in your business that people understand what they mean to give them more freedom to achieve, that they want to come into work because there's a greater purpose for what they do? Then once you can lead yourself and you've got personal excellence, you can start to build a culture. Once you lead yourself, you go out and you learn how to lead one other. One-on-one leadership is about, being a standard, setting a standard for other people to live up to, being a model of excellence, and that never stops. So look at yourself over and over again, and then starting to learn about other people, and then how are you communicating your vision, mission, and values. So you can go off to lead many, become an inspiration, and that's the way you scale a large business, a multi-million-dollar trade business. Without a great culture, the only way you're going to do that without that is sacrificing your life. Long hours, high stress, burnout. With a great culture, it's going to build up the company, build up the people, and empower them to go on the journey with you, to put in the extra effort, whatever's required. And when you learn that a culture is growing, you've got to weed it and water it every single day. It's not something, okay, I've done that. I've put a poster on the wall. This is what we stand for. Done. It doesn't work that way. Every single day you've got to be growing it and weeding it, especially in a fast-growing business. The more people you bring into your company, the more it dilutes the culture. Because the people that come into you have been rewarded and disciplined for certain behaviors in their previous work environments. And you've got to give them a period of time to readjust. If in another company someone comes, they got rewarded for bringing problems to the owner, because that's a common thing that happens. And then you're like, man, why is this person bringing me problems all the time? You've got to rewire the behaviors you want and what is good for you in your business. How do you reward and discipline based off it? And yeah, culture is growing, but what can you build? If you're going to grow a garden, it can only grow up into the garden bed it's built in. So there is an aspect of culture you can build. How are you building in your vision and values? Do you do things like quarterly awards, social clubs? How do you recognize people for going above and beyond and meeting your values along with performance? Do you keep high performance at the sacrifice of your culture? It's a very difficult thing, but it's one that's worth the journey. And you've just got to understand it's not a hard measurable. You can't go like in financial excellence, look at culture and personal excellence on a balance sheet or a profit and loss. But the companies that have it, you can sure see the result on their profit and loss and balance sheet. It's this intangible thing where people go, man, how are you getting such a good result? That's what it is, and it's one of your biggest competitive advantages. Because people can't copy your culture. You can't just go, oh, what is Google doing? Oh, beanbags, ping pong tables, free food. All right, beanbags, ping pong tables, free food. But I've got the same culture as Google. As you cannot copy it. It gives you a massive competitive advantage. And when you're known for that, not only can you command higher prices and get people behind you, but you're going to attract and keep better talent. So look through, what culture do I want to have? And how am I going to start showing up first and not walk past the things that I won't accept anymore? And slowly but surely shift your culture. So cash flow, financial excellence, unlocking your people value, and then looking at your personal and cultural excellence has put you a long way towards being able to build multi-million-dollar trade businesses. And as they start to now get off the ground and grow and scale, that's when we start to look at communication. Now, communication is, it's one of those things that it's just expected to be. Well, in school, I'm not sure about you, but we seem to learn about Shakespeare and how to write essays, punctuation and spelling. It's really compliance. But how do you communicate? And one of the best sayings I ever heard is you cannot not communicate. The way you walk, the way you hold yourself, your tone of voice, your facial expressions, your energy in different situations is communication. Everything is communication, from the way your vehicles are branded, from your website, your social media, your voicemail, the way you respond in email. You've got to look at communication from two core aspects, in and out. What is your internal communication landscape with your team? Do you have 54 ways to get a hold of you and no one really knows which one channel to use? Slack, Teams, WhatsApp, email, phone, the task management system, the CRM, a note under your door, something on a whiteboard. How are you communicating? What mediums do you use? Do you CC everyone into everything then nothing gets done? That's a common mistake. Because when your business is small, when it's just you, everything's in your brain, it's easy. Then you get one other, and then there's one line of communication built. And then you get another one, and all of a sudden there's 3 lines of communication. And then there's 6 lines of communication when you have 4 people, and so on. It gets exponentially more confusing and more complex when you grow. So you've got to take communication seriously. And then outbound. When you communicate correctly to your clients, to the marketplace. And like we said, you cannot not communicate. So are your vehicles clean? What brand of tools do you use? What brand of product do you use? It all communicates who you are and what you stand for. Do you communicate with your clients in email? Do you know that some of your clients want a heap of detail and some just want the big picture? Do you tailor your service so you dominate the marketplace? And then do you give people regular updates? And with communication, it's either early or late. When it's late, it causes loss and frustration. So when you're seeing frustration in the system, it comes from late communication. And it could be late and bad news. We can't control everything. If something turns up, it's the wrong color, the delivery's late, I got broken on the way, old mate's sick today. If we get back and tell our clients or whoever needs to know early, at least we've told them and they can rearrange their life, not just waiting on site or their boss kicks their ass. Look for ways you can communicate early, because when it's early, you create wins. Hey, I just want to let you know this happened. We got let down by the supplier. It was the wrong color. It got broken. It didn't fit. And I want you to know. And that's how you start to resonate. And then when you start to do that, it's one of the biggest failings, not only in all businesses, but trade businesses, not showing up on time, not showing up at all. People don't get back. The amount of people I call in the trade industry that either don't have a voicemail or you cannot leave a voicemail blows my mind. How much opportunity are you throwing down the toilet by not having these simple things set up? So have a look at your business. Where internally can I sharpen up my communication where the right person has the right things at the right time? And then externally, knowing that I cannot not communicate, uniforms, vehicles, tools, products. When you start to take communication seriously, that's when you can build a business that dominates the market, is multiple millions of dollars, and you get freedom in the process. It's worth the journey, and it's one that you cannot get perfect. And it's one that never ends. You can always improve as long as you focus on it. All right, communication, done. Only then and now do you want to start to look at leveraging what you do. Because if you leverage too soon, I think I mentioned earlier, you scale the problem and not the solution. And when you start to scale problems, that's when you cap out. And when you cap out, you work harder and harder and harder and harder and harder to get tired and over it, then you go back. Then you have to fix up what you do and then expand again. It's part of my story too. I've made that mistake and I don't want to see you do the same. So when you've got the foundation sorted, Your communications are pretty good. They're never going to be perfect, but they're pretty good. We've got a decent culture that's growing and a few people are at least on board. We've got an understanding of how to hire and how to onboard and what environment and how our people work to get the best versions of themselves. We understand what's going on in our financial scorecards, profit and loss, balance sheet, statement of cash. We know our basic conversion rates, our average dollar sale, and we're managing our cash flow through a forecast. We know to the day when our money's running out. Then we can really leverage up. You want to look for every leverage point in your business because this is the least amount of effort for the biggest return, and they're everywhere. And unless you look for them and put the effort in to take advantage of them, you'll never, ever, ever get the full use out of them. Being in business is so difficult and it gets so busy. Unless you're disciplined through your own personal excellence and you carve out time to look for leverage, especially now with AI coming through. I'm going through that too. Every single week I'm like, man, I just feel like I've caught up, and then something new comes out. You've got to have your feelers out for new and then just choose the path and harness the leverage. Because if you're always trying to put in new, it gets tiring and you never get the result. So what softwares do you use? CRM, job management, accounting. Do you need one that does all of them, probably pretty average, or do you need specific ones for the different areas that do a really good job? And do they talk to each other? Because sometimes what we do in the pursuit of leverage and the pursuit of growth is we make our businesses far too complex. And with complexity, generally is huge setup costs and huge maintenance costs. And then instead of creating synergy, which is the sum is greater than the parts, 1 + 1 = 2 is not synergy. That's linear. 1 + 1 = 5, 7, 15 is synergy. It's when the sum is greater than the parts. You can have that between people, you can have that with your processes, you can have it in every area of your business. So look for it. There's so much technology, there's so many plugins, there's so many ways to talk. And with that actually comes a more difficult scenario. Because without it, you've got limited choice. So you're like, okay, I've got A, B, maybe C. Now, goodness me, you've got 1,000 options. So what it can do is like, I'm just going to stay over here. Keep curious, keep hungry, and get your team involved. Ask them, where are the major sticking points in my business, in our business? Get them involved in helping you build a business that works for you. Because in doing so, it'll work for them. Where you're creating a better life for them, a better work environment, and easier work. Because high performers won't stay in a business where everything's a mess. There's always problems, always change. There's not strong leadership and not a strong business and process. So go through it. And when you talk to software people, the number one thing you've got to do is get the full scope before you do it. Because to go into a software, they generally lock you in. It can be hard to get your information out. So can you get your information out if you wanted to? What are the major things you want from it? Because oftentimes you can't get everything out of one thing. But if you need to be more sales focused than project delivery, you probably want a software that's more sales focused with decent project delivery. Or if the major advantage or major workflow of your business is project delivery, you probably want to look for software that has the major component of it is in delivering your projects with the add-on of a CRM or a sales process. And then what level of financial or accounting processes do you need? Do you just need something like Xero or MYOB to do your books? Or do you want the bolt-ons for cash flow and CFO management? Get what you need for now and make sure you try and choose software that can grow with you. Because one, when you get into bed with a software, it's hard to get out. And then if you go in deep and train your entire organization on a certain software, then you realize it's the wrong one. To get out of that and retrain your people in your organization and to transfer everything without losing the data and losing some faith and brand equity is almost impossible. So take the time and the number one thing you want to ask yourself is that if this is how I've always done it, is this still the best way? So stay curious, don't stay locked in, and get people feeding you and on board with leveraging up your business. From there, we've got the leverage in place now. We can start to really look at getting more work. Everything's in place now to scale. And once you've got these foundations in place, you can really hammer the marketing and sales. Before this, it can get a bit shaky. You can grow really quick in revenue, and that might be a great story for everyone else. Hey, I'm doing X amount, 500,000, 1 million, 5 million, 20 million, it doesn't matter. If it's not profitable and you're not delivering on your promises, it's short-term focused. When you're short-term focused, there is an end. Simon Sinek does a great book, Infinite Game, and it talks about thinking of business as an infinite game, something you're going to pass on to the next generation. It changes the way you act, and it also changes the way stimulus comes to you. Because if you're only looking at things in like 1 year, 3 year, 5 year terms, and there's an end point versus a lifetime and then another lifetime, it gives you a different perspective on that moment. So getting more work. And this is an interesting place as you build a multi-million-dollar business, because a lot of people early on panic, or they just want more. Either at the start, I've got no work, so I'm going to do anything for anyone, and in the process, become nothing to no one. And the more work you take on, the more clients you take on that you shouldn't be doing work with, the more time it takes to unravel that busyness to then go on and get the clients and partners you should have in the first place. So spend the time here. Spend the time to go, what is the ideal relationship I want to do work with? A partnership, you'd say. And what does their avatar look like? What are their dreams, their goals? How old are they? Where do they live? The more you can describe who your ideal client is, the easier it is to tell your team how to go and get them, and then set up the marketing and messaging to bring them in. What's their problem and pain? What's their ideal future? And then how what you do takes them from the pain to the promised land. And then track it. You want to make sure that it's financially rewarding, because if you're spending a ton of time quoting or a ton of time in meetings and getting no sales out of it, and you're doing all the right things, you've got to cut them. But a lot of people don't track their individual partnerships for how many leads am I getting? How many of those leads are converting into quotes? How many of my quotes, not only the number, but the dollar value, are turning into work? And then what's the profit on that work? When you know that, you can put your focus on the people that are doing the right by you, giving you the most work and the most profitable work. But you can only do that through financial excellence, knowing what services make you the most money and what clients make you the most money. And when you put that into place, that's leverage. So how do you get great partnerships? First, you get the avatar. Who is it exactly I'm going after? What are their pain and where do they want to go? Then work out the messaging. How do I communicate that so they understand that I can take them from pain to pleasure? And then go out and find them. Where do they hang out? Where do they live? And start getting your message into their ears or their eyes. And then do the right thing. Don't overpromise and underdeliver. I think it's a poor way to do business. It's overpromise and overdeliver. But also be truthful. If something's going to take a week to get a quote back, to get a proposal back, to get a start date, say it's going to take a week. Don't say it's going to take a day or 2 days and then expect your team to deliver on that. And then when they don't, get frustrated with your team. In a world becoming more and more automated with AI, social media, less real, less touch points, the people who do this well, be honest, be available, and tailor their service to the marketplace are going to win. Bring in AI to help you with the mundane stuff, the heavy lifting, to allow you more time to go and do what you're great at. And then track it and constantly ask for feedback, constantly improve your product and services, and you'll dominate a market. You want to have it where your marketing budget is as low as possible for new. Keep what you've got. One of my mentors, Keith Cunningham, gave me a great saying one day. He goes, how big would my business have been if I just had never lost a customer? And I've lost a ton of customers over my time. It's just natural. But there's also a ton I could have kept if I just did things differently. Look after what you've got. I know for me personally, when I see ads from the telco or any business, when they're offering these amazing deals to their new customers and then treat me like garbage, I'm like, what about the people you've got? Be one of the businesses that keep people forever, the right people, and you will build a massive business so quickly, people will be like, how have you done it? And systemize it. So as you bring in people to quote for you, to make phone calls, to make sales, to hand over to projects, that deliver the projects and then chase up the invoice, make sure you train people correctly. Hand over your knowledge so they don't have to go through the whole cycle. And when you figure out what works, exactly what I'm teaching you now with these blueprints and steps, you do the same for your business. So you go and find the great talent and you've got the systems and processes, scripts, everything they need to be successful as fast as possible. So now you're making great sales, you're getting more work than you can handle. Your marketing budgets are in check, you've got great people staying with you. Now you've got to complete that work. And the only way you're going to keep the work coming in is to deliver on your promises. Because when you produce, it always, and you've got proof, always trumps promise. It's one thing to go, okay, I promise you this, here's the best guarantee, blah, blah, blah. But if you're not able to constantly deliver on what you said, it's a short-term thinking and you're going to have to keep on getting new. The problem is the new eventually runs out and the new gets more and more expensive to find through marketing. When you do the right thing, you're going to get more referrals, you're going to get repeat work. So how are you going to make sure you consistently deliver, create predictable repeatability in what you deliver? To make sure that you give the time, cost, and quality that is expected of your work. Just like when you've figured out your avatar, where do you sit in the marketplace? Is it the fastest? Is it the cheapest? Is it the highest quality? A massive mistake people make is trying to be all three. If you look at some of the biggest things like Amazon, they're fast. They sell anything and they're cheap. Well, they were cheap and that's changing, right? But where do you sit and then how do you build your business model to deliver that? And this is where if you've gone out and got the wrong work with the wrong clients, it destroys your ability to deliver. You're better off being a little bit slower here to start. Make sure you over-deliver, over-deliver, over-deliver forever, and then that will compound in your sales. So how are you planning your work and communicating you've got the work? Do people have to follow you up, finding out when they got to get a start date? Or do you call them the day you get it and go, hey, we've just got your job. Just want to let you know, we're going to come back to you in about a week or two, but our current lead time is about 4 weeks to get started. Just like Uber does so well, they tell you what's happening. If someone then calls you and goes, hey, what's going on, or calls your client, and then your client has to call you, you're communicating that you're not looking after their interest. So what can you do early on to say, hey, we've got it, that's communication. Then what are you doing to plan? Are you allocating enough planning to the right job? If you do $100 jobs, what's the planning needed? If you do $100,000 jobs, $5 million jobs, what's the process for planning? And then once you've planned, how do you communicate it when you program it? Do the trades or people in the field know what's going on? Do your partners know what's going on and do they want or need to be involved? And then does everyone else in the business know what's going on? Because if not everyone knows what's going on and the right information, you're going to have problems. If your people in the field don't get the photos, don't get the job scope, don't know where the materials are, don't know to sign in, don't know the induction they need, and they show up and they don't have that, you're communicating something to the marketplace. And then your partners, depending on the level, if someone turns up and knocks on their door and it's not booked in, or you've got a commercial or body corporate client and they're like, oh, this job's done, but I look like a fool because you had your guy here and then I got a complaint later on. And then if you've got management, if you need to know as the business owner or other people in the business need to know, how are you communicating the program? And then if there's changes, are you doing it early or late? There's so much that goes into that you've got to ensure the quality of your delivery. And the quality comes down to managing expectations. And that should be done up front, along the way, and at the end. And at the end, you do a great job. You ask for more work. Who else can I help? Everyone in your business is selling. Everyone in your business is recruiting. Everyone in your business is delivering the work. Even the salespeople, because if you don't deliver the work properly, it's killing their sales. Everyone's got to be responsible and have a culture of that within your organization. So now you're getting heaps of work, you're completing it. So you're still human, you're going to make mistakes, but you're going to correct those. Now you've got to make sure you get paid consistently. One of the biggest killers to growing a multi-million-dollar trade business or any business is not getting paid. Have you got proper contracts in place? The number one thing that protect you. Yeah, you've got to understand how to influence them, because even a contract doesn't really matter unless you're willing to fight in court for it. So firstly, you want to have a great relationship. You're going to manage the expectations, get your deposits and progress claims along the way to protect yourself, and have a robust contract. Not one that scares off the client because it's all in your favor. One that's fair and reasonable and that they understand. So when you say, hey, that was in the contract, and you go, well, I never even seen a contract, that's your fault. You need to be communicating up front and getting agreements in writing what's going on. And then what terms are agreeable and when are the claims going to be made. And then when you invoice, you've got to make sure you invoice correctly. Is it made out to the right person or entity? Is the right description on it? Or is there random stuff your team have put on the invoice? Is there a purchase order needed? And who does it need to go to? Back to the person, back to the accounts team, to the insurer. Who's paying? And is it going to the right place? And then follow up and follow through to your paid. Because when you've done the work and you've finished it and you've invoiced, it's your money in someone else's pocket. And if you don't have a culture of following up and your clients or partners don't expect you to follow up, they may or may not pay you on time. And that's when it chokes your cash flow, ruins your numbers. You can't go out and find and hire great people. It kills your business. If you're not getting paid in full and on time, look at your process first. Always take self-responsibility. What are we doing or not doing that we could do better to get paid in full and faster? And then when you do everything right and you've communicated that to the marketplace, to the people who need to know, sometimes it comes down to a tough conversation. If we don't get this sorted, we're not going to do work for you anymore. And that can be scary if someone's 10, 20, 30% of your business. But unless you fix that, it doesn't create a space to then go get the right client. The right client is one who works with you, sends you the right sort of work, is happy to pay a fair price and pays you in full and on time. And you've got to make sure you protect people that you get like that and exit people who aren't. Just like with a culture-led business, if you just keep high performers that are not nice people or don't meet the culture, you're going to get a business full of high performers with a poor culture. The same is true of your clients. If you get a whole heap of great clients that don't pay you, you're always going to have cash flow problems. So make sure you're at least periodically, at least once a year, twice a year ideally, going through your team and your clients and evaluating them. We do performance reviews on our employees every 3, 6, 12 months, yet we don't seem to do it with our partners or clients, our suppliers, our subbies. Every area of our business should be audited and kept clean so we can keep on growing and scaling the solution and not the problem. So when we've gone through this journey now, you can see how it all flows together. And if you do something before somewhere else, you're doing the right thing at the wrong time. And this can be really painful for people. They go, man, I'm doing everything I should be doing. Well, yeah, you're doing the right things just at the wrong time. So you've got to, when you understand what to do and have a good strategy, is then putting it in place in a journey of action. Because we've only got so much time, energy, and money to grow our businesses. So we want to be maximizing those. And the way you maximize them is doing the right thing at the right time in the right way. That's being effective. And when we do that, we go through this process. The easiest way we do it at ResVita is we go through our 81-point checklist. Each one of those areas has major points in place that you either do well or could do better. So if something's good enough for now and something else is killing your business, what we tend to do normally is go to the sugar, what's easy to do, what's doing well, and avoid or put our head in the sand from the fire that's burning over here. The other major issue we do and face is that there's 8,000 fires burning, so we try and put them all out at the same time and never put any out. You want to look at, okay, that's fine, these are good enough for now, let's leave them. Out of all these fires that are burning, if I deal with one or two major ones, what other fires will be put out in the process? And when you look at the root cause, not the symptom, just like a metaphor I always say, if you're always getting a flu, and then you just keep popping cold and flu pills to overcome it, yet you're eating cheeseburgers, not sleeping properly, not drinking water, you're going to constantly get a flu. When you treat the root cause, you drink enough water, sleep well, and eat the right food, you probably won't get a flu as often or at all. The same is true in business. When we spend the time to go, okay, this is my business landscape. That stuff's great, awesome, leave that. Here's all of my fires. If I deal with these 2 or 3 big ones, it actually puts out these other 6. And these ones over here, that's for a future date. Let them burn. I need to put all my energy and focus here, because once that's done, it frees up more time, energy, and money to put out these fires. And they get put out faster. And then all of a sudden, in a very short period of time, we can grow great businesses and turn businesses that are okay into brilliant businesses. So that's the journey, that's the structure, and when you go through and start to go deep into it. So go through your business and all the areas we've covered. There's heaps of gold in all of our businesses that if we just spend and allocate the time and the discipline to go through and just make a start, then grow ourselves and then build an amazing business. Because from there, we can do anything. Not everyone wants a massive business. You might want just yourself. And if you want to be a sole trader, you can create a whole lot of headaches and entrapment and no money just by yourself, trust me. The same is true of a business of 4, 12, 24, 48, 1,000 people. Every single business, no matter what the size, can generate you no money, no time, no freedom, no fun. It's got to be built into the business. It's got to be planned for. It's got to be created. If we just fall through it by default, we're going to get what everyone else gets. And if business is not fun, if it's not increasing your health, if it's not increasing your wealth, if it's not increasing your lifestyle, there's something wrong. Yet for so many of us, we just think that is what's meant to happen. And it couldn't be further from the truth. We start to shift our mindset and see it in a different way. Like Wayne Dwyer said, change the way you look at something and the way you look at something changes. When we shift our mindset and change our beliefs, look for the right blueprint, take the action, and then see what's happening, and then keep adjusting forever, we're going to create a big business, a great business, a business that works for us and not the other way around. And it's worth the journey. Once you've done it once, you can do it again. Once you've done it, then you can do it again. You can help other people as well. Build great businesses. Live great lifestyles full of health and wealth. So go on, get out to it and keep on finding ways to increase and grow the business that works for you.